Hi there. Excited to spend this time with you in our mini masterclass for the chapter titled Measure What Matters. If you were able to catch the live masterclass last week, if you haven't, I would totally encourage you at your own pace to go back through the course. You can find it in the calendar as well, and catch the replay. We had an awesome masterclass. We really started to unpack what OKRs are, objectives and key results. And over the next few minutes, I'm going to do my best to compel you to start implementing OKRs as the operating system for your life. If you are somebody that says, I want to make an impact, I want to do the deal, I want to get it done, I believe in myself, I believe in my team, I believe in my cause, well, you can't just talky talk. You've got to walk the walk. You've got to build the infrastructure and build the operating system to actually get it done. And for me, a little of my personal story, I've kind of always been a dreamer. I've always been somebody that thought that the world could use a little shakeup, that maybe business as usual and life as usual wasn't cutting it. So I would imagine a different way. I would imagine a new path or an innovation or an idea, but oftentimes it would stop there. I didn't really know fully how to execute. And I thought hard work and grit and resilience would take care of that. I'll make up in hard work where I lack in resources or abilities. And that certainly has helped me. It's kept me going. But it wasn't until I found OKRs, objectives and key results. It wasn't until I started to measure what matters that things came together for me. And it was actually exactly 6-ish years ago where I read this book right here, Measure What Matters by John Dewar. I'm going to include a link to this book, and I hope that you'll order it immediately. If you've already read it or you've listened to the audiobook, get a physical copy as well. It's really, really powerful. And it's something that you're going to want to study over and over and over again. You're going to want to just build it into your repertoire, build it into your way of life. In fact, it was so compelling to me that I made it one of our core values, our third core value at my core, to measure what matters. So, as it says right here on the front cover, how Google, Bono, and the Gates Foundation rock the world with OKRs. I want to read a little bit from the book. The quote that I pulled out that is in the course is a real simple statement. Ideas are easy, execution is everything. You have to be able to execute, right? You have to be able to get her done. And you've got to be able to do it in a team work makes the dream work way. You might be in this academy and you say, hey, Nathan, I don't have a team, or I'm, kind of a individual, or I'm self-employed, or I'm somebody that isn't leading a organization or leading a team yet. Great. That's okay. Yet you're still interacting with people, right? You're still in some capacity part of a team. So you're going to have to learn to inspire and to influence and to be able to get people moving and grooving in a common direction. So I want to read this to you because I find it interesting. It says, year after year, Gallup surveys attest to a worldwide employee engagement crisis. Isn't that interesting? Less than a third of U.S. workers are involved in, enthusiastic about, and committed to their work and workplace. Less than a third. That means not even 1 out of 3 people are digging their job, are engaged in the workplace, are waking up inspired to build and construct and get after it. Of those disengaged, millions, more than half would leave their company for a raise of 20% or less. So it's like amazing how unloyal, right? How disloyal people are. And I don't think it's because they have a bad moral code. It's because the workplace is not invigorating their soul. It's not invigorating their spirit. In the technology sector, 2 out of 3 employees think they could find a better job inside of 2 months. I know that to be true because a lot of our partners are Silicon Valley tech companies, and the amount of turnover, I mean, we're assigned a new partner success manager almost every 6 months, it feels like. In business, alienation isn't an abstract philosophical problem. It saps the bottom line. So this isn't just like for your purpose in life or for your mental health. This is like dollars and cents. It crushes and saps the bottom line. More highly engaged work groups generate more profit and less attrition. You don't say, right? According to Deloitte, the management and leadership consulting firm, issues of retention and engagement have risen to number 2 in the minds of business leaders, second only to the challenge of building global leadership. Top tier stressor, right, is how do I engage my team? And then how do I stay engaged in my work? How do I not drift off into, scroll city, right? How do I not start to quiet quit? How do I really experience deep work? I'm going to talk about that in a moment, but I want to finish this excerpt. But exactly how do you build engagement? A 2-year Deloitte study found that no single factor has more impact, watch this, than clearly defined goals that are written down and shared freely. Goals create alignment, clarity, and job satisfaction. Oh, that's good. That's rich. So think about that. It's not strictly the pay. It's not the benefits. It's not even the company culture or the recognition. It is a clearly defined goal, a clearly defined objective, and then the path, the key results, the how you're going to get there. When people feel aligned, when people feel connected, when people feel congruent, it energizes them. It awakens the spirit. And people stop thinking about the grass being greener on the other side. They don't go out and have wandering eyes for other opportunities or for other companies or for other, company suitors. They lock and load. Now, I don't claim to be an expert on very much. I do believe this is a forte of ours. It's a forte of mine. And I want to give you some of the nuances to the way that I approach leadership and the way I approach measuring what matters. So, what I have found is that leaders need to be needed. It's like they aren't fulfilled or even happy or content for that matter unless there's a problem and they're solving that problem. And that problem better be a biggie. It better be something that really kind of keeps them up at night. Something that is like, whew, this is going to be tough. This is going to be rough. So if you've been approaching your goals or approaching your leadership with thought processes like, how do I make it easier? How do I make it faster? How do I make it more convenient? I would encourage you to stop doing that and to think, how do I make it harder? How do I make it more challenging? How do I make it more intricate? Not because you're setting up weird hurdles or because you just want to be a pain, but because you recognize that, as it said in the book, people are just going through the motions. They're just coasting Because in the developed world, it's all first world problems. It doesn't really engage like a deep biological drive or a deep biological meaning. So here's what I've found to be true. If you want to create organizational alignment, you're going to need to define your mission and your values and your mission. Put differently, you're going to need to know who you are and why you exist. And you're going to have to be vocal about it. You're going to have to be bold about it. You're going to have to be clear about it. If you spend more than 5 minutes with me, we're going to end up talking about my core, right? And within the next few minutes, I promise you, our core values are going to come out of my mouth. I'm going to share with you that we walk by faith and we lead with who, and we measure what matters. Why do I do that? It's not because I'm a broken record or because if there's you pull a string in my back and I say, there's a snake in my boot, right? It's not because I don't have anything else to say or to think of. It's because I know that the law of attraction is much more like the law of repulsion. To build an organization, to build a career, to build an identity, to build a brand, whether it's a personal brand or a collective brand or both, you're going to have to get really clear about who you are and why you exist before you define what it is you're going to do and how it is you're going to do it. So we've spent in this course a great deal of time teasing that out and teasing that up and deep diving into it. And as I already shared, our next course is a deep, deep dive into leading with who. You're going to come out of that course. You're going to come out of those few weeks and you're going to go, I get it. This isn't just doctrine. This isn't just, an idea of the month. This is something that's integral and core to the way that I have to operate from this moment forward. So hopefully you've already been percolating some thoughts on that. If you're catching this replay, then you're going to dive right into that course next, I hope, because I'm laying a foundation for you, a foundation that I had to lay in order to build a large and growing organization. And again, this is all scalable. So if you're saying, I don't have desire to do that, awesome. Apply it to your life, apply it to your family, apply it to your health, apply it to all the things. So as always, first and foremost, who are you and why do you exist? Put differently, what are your values and what is your mission? And make sure that mission is a North Star. It should be way out there that on a dark, cold night, you can still see it and go, you know what? I think we're getting closer. You know what? I think we're moving closer, right? It should be something that's idealistic. I love what Earl Nightingale said. He said, success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. Isn't that great? That success isn't just getting to the destination or having the trappings. It's progressing towards, over an extended period of time, not through a quantum leap, but through the compound effect, something that's worthy, something that's meaningful, something that's noble. So if you haven't defined your personal mission, if you own a business and you haven't defined the mission of your company, you've got to do that immediately. And it shouldn't just be nice words. It shouldn't just be on a plaque or on your website. It's got to be core and integrated and hardwired into everything that you do. And it should be underpinned by your values. Okay, I could talk about that for hours. And then from that foundation, you start to let people know what the objective of the company is, right? And you can quantify this. You can say it is our goal to, serve 1 million families, or to repair 1 million homes, or to build, 1,000 communities, or whatever the company kind of BHAG is. BHAG, what's that? Sounds like an ornery old woman or something. No, a BHAG is a big, hairy, audacious goal. Some people say big, hairy, fast goal, but I don't curse ever for any reason, never. So I'm going to say big, hairy, audacious goal. But you got to put it out there. You can't just expect that people are going to care where the company's going or care where you're going if you don't state it. And don't get all how to win friends and influence people on steroids. Share what you're aiming for. Share what your goals are. Share what you want. Of course, like Zig Ziglar, help everyone and everyone get what they want and you'll have what you want, but don't be so kind of close to the vest about it, or so secretive or covert that nobody really knows what your drivers are. Nobody really knows what you're working toward. So share the collective goal, share the company goal, and then break it down into teams and say, okay, for the church to grow to this level, we're going to need a team for this and a team for that and a team for that. And then define those teams and get really clear about the objectives and the key results for those teams, the OKRs. And then it must boil down to and be drilled down to you as an individual and me as an individual and the team as an individual. Think like a bullseye. At the center of the target is you, is me, is an individual. And it's going to be that person's individual commitment to their OKRs. It's going to be the continuity between who they are, why they exist, what they said they were going to do, and how they said they were going to do it. That now you start to cascade and ripple and get this really cool effect where people take personal responsibility because it affects the team, because it affects their community. And not just the community at large in some altruistic way, but because they know those people. That's a team of 5. That's a team of 15. It's a relatively small team. They know the people that it affects. There's a reason why a basketball team only has 5 people on the court, why a football team only has 11 people on the court. And even as a wrestler, I knew that I had to win for the team to win. And not just did I have to win, but I had to win big. If I could pin the guy, we could get more points. If I could tech them, I would get more points. If you don't know wrestling, you probably don't know what I'm saying. But the point is that I always knew that what I was doing was affecting the team. And that drove me to work harder. That drove me to push harder. And then how does that affect the overall brand, the overall company, the overall enterprise, the overall organization, the town, the community, the country, right? Fill in the blank. And then does that get us further away from or closer to the mission? Does that deepen our values? Does that prove that we say that which we said we are? So all that continuity, all that connection is how you measure what matters. And you got to take constant inventory of it. You got to quantify it. You got to qualify it. And there's so much more to how this comes to life. And it's all right here in this book. It's why, again, we've made it a core value, because I intend to chew on this and to wrestle with this and to grapple with this forever, right? So in closing, measure what matters. Don't minor or major in minor things. Major in the major things and be selective about what makes that list. Because if everything is important, then nothing's important. If everything's urgent, then nothing's urgent. If everything can be measured, then nothing can be measured. Get really clear about the drivers. Get really clear about the main things, and keep the main things the main things.